You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday, happy Mars Day, and happy birthday to today's Sagittarius humans. Russell Wilson, Chadwick Boseman was a Sagittarius, Anna Faris. That makes sense to me completely. Stefan Diggs, Howie Mandel is a Sagittarius. I would have taken him for a Virgo because I've heard he's a clean freak, but maybe he has a different Virgo placement. C.S. Lewis, Don Cheadle. Today's one of those days that feels like a Sagittarius day in a lot of ways. Of course, if it's your birthday, if someone you know is celebrating their solar return, give them a shout out in the comments so we can send them some love and celebrate them too. Nikki is here, Rachel is here, and today we're just going to get into it. It's going to be a quick and dirty forecast because I'm on a bit of a time crunch, but I love how we're going to be kind of speeding through today's forecast because of the planets we're talking about, Mercury and Mars being the main two. And both of these planets like to move quickly. Hey, Nick. So, yeah, we're going to move quickly too. And it seems very fitting. It seems very fitting. Rachel says, yesterday was a rough day for me. Had to learn some really harsh lessons about spreading myself thin and my core wound of feeling like a disappointment to others. We are sending you love, Rachel. Sending you so much love. And with this Mars-Saturn trine that we are still feeling today, it can bring through some lessons in kind of an aggressive way. I definitely have been feeling that as well. So that's a main factor of what we are feeling today. See that dark blue line, that trine between Saturn and Mars? We broke that down fully yesterday, but today Mercury is now connecting with both of these planets. So you can see Mercury forming a sextile to Saturn and an opposition to Mars. And I just realized we got to get back to today's date, but let me see. Are we gonna play nice? Yes. The other thing I could see is technology being a little bit touchy today because Mercury is the planet of technology as well as communication, and it's opposing Mars. So, Rachel, I was just having this same thought as I was getting ready, trying to find that balance of being mindful without self-shaming. I am right there with you. So thank you for sharing that. Nick has a time crunch today too. Okay, well, let's get a check on the energy. Let's get into it. The sun is in Sagittarius. The moon is currently in Aquarius. And these two energies support one another, but the moon isn't making any connections all day, and the moon will move into Pisces this afternoon. So we're under a void moon, and I think the void moon is going to help us out. We'll break that down in a little bit. Let's start by talking about Mercury opposing Mars, what we are feeling right now. So there we go. There's the current chart, and you can see that dark red line in the middle of it. That's Mercury opposing Mars. Remember, Venus is following closely behind. So we're not getting away from this Mars-Saturn trine, this Mercury-Venus conjunction pretty much for the next couple of days. These transits will be playing a factor into what we're feeling. Still within 3 degrees of that conjunction, Mercury and Venus. So that's helping us out. That's helping us think loving thoughts, speak loving words. But today, we want to be extra intentional about our thoughts and words because we have that opposition between Mercury and Mars. So let's talk about this first, then we'll talk about the sextile to Saturn, and then we'll kind of blend it all together and how this is affecting us. Mercury opposing Mars. You've been here a while. You probably can guess what I'm going to say. Watch your words. Slow down. Loose lips sink ships today. Not just because Mercury is opposing Mars and this makes us more impulsive, restless, irritable, aggressive in our communication, but also because remember, Mercury is in Sagittarius. Mercury is at detriment in Sagittarius in its weakest position. And you might remember when we talked about Mercury moving into Sagittarius, I said it's like removing the filter when Mercury's in Sagittarius. It's easy to blurt things out, not really think things through before we speak them into the world. And with Mercury opposing Mars today, that's just going to take that energy up a notch. Our lips are already loose because Mercury is in Sagittarius. Then you add the opposition to Mars and it's like there's no holding back. So speaking off the cuff could get us into some trouble today. We want to be very, very, very intentional with how we're speaking. Definitely take a beat before you tell someone off. I could see today being a day where people are just extra like spicy and aggressive in their communication. Like even, you're in the checkout line at the grocery store and someone's being like rude to the clerk in front of you, or people are yelling out their car windows. That's the energy of today. That's the energy of what's happening with Mercury today, high court. So the beautiful thing about Mercury and Sagittarius is it can help us be optimistic, but there is this sense of like freedom and I'm going to do what I want and be carefree. And then the opposition to Mars can just, also watch your tone. It's not just what you're saying, it's how you're saying it today. And remember, other people are perceiving and taking in information and are a little bit more irritable in that sense too. Like it's easier for our thoughts to be aggressive as well. So we want to be especially mindful about how we're communicating. Thizbra on Instagram says, I'm all ears. This message is fire. That feels like Mercury opposite Mars too. Like not even just being irritable or aggressive or harsh in our messaging, but just like, yeah, like it's kind of like that bro energy of like, yeah, go. Like right now, the USA is playing Iran in the World Cup, right? And I feel like this energy is like being in the crowd of a game and like just yelling things. Last night we went to a Kings game and these guys behind us, a couple rows back, were just being total, I'm not going to say a bad word right now, but I want to. They were just like being so toxic, like such toxic, like yelling at different players. And we were fairly close, so you could tell they were trying to get the players to hear what they had to say, but just like saying things about the players' girlfriends and families and being mean, like being rude. And I get that that's part of the fun and that's part of like the competitive spirit, but that's also what today feels like. It feels like being in a crowd and like yelling jabs at the other team. You might find yourself even in your daily interactions, like poking at other people, trying to get a rise out of people, like almost that playful, competitive, aggressive energy, but it could be misconstrued very easily, or you might have good intentions and just be playing around, but there could be an underlying subconscious desire to provoke a fight today. Like Mars is here to fight, right? Mars is the planet of war. So this energy could easily have us falling into a fight, falling into an argument. And I would say, like, don't play around today. Be very mindful. They should have had more grace and manners. I think so too, Nick. But I also recognize, again, on the other end of things, that I was more irritable. Mercury's my ruling planet. I was definitely feeling this transit yesterday. I'll probably be feeling this energy for the next day or so, even though Mercury likes to move quickly. So I'm like, how dare they? How dare they say those things? This is the arena, literally the arena to do those things. And I'm like, these boys are so rude. I would like to turn around and give them a piece of my mind, and then I'm like, okay, calm down, grandma. It's okay. Like, this is where this is allowed, right? Yes, Bree. At least therapy will be a safe place for that for me today. Yeah, I could see today being a day too where we want to like communicate our anger. Mercury opposing Mars makes us be like, I'm mad about this. I'm angry about this. That can be very cathartic and very beautiful in a safe setting, right? In the proper setting. So if you're feeling like you really need to get something off your chest, using this transit to your benefit by doing some like rage on the page, journaling it out, talking to someone who you trust who's not going to get provoked or triggered or activated by whatever you're talking about. Because we also have to be mindful, again, that other people are feeling this too. And we don't want to like dump our anger onto other people. They feel our energy, even if they're not directly involved in whatever is making us angry. You said calm down, Grandma, but you are right. I think the more I get into like vibes and being the light and being positive, I'm like, why is this necessary to insult people? Like, it's just a game. Let's all have fun. I get that we're trying to win here, but like we can all just have a good time and not be mean in the process. That goes for the Kings game, basketball games, the World Cup, and life. Yeah, I saw that, Nikki. Lots of protests in soccer. Someone jumped on the field with an LGBTQ flag or something. Yeah, lots of people protesting. Yeah, and if you've been following what's going on in Iran too, like I feel like the fact that this game, the USA versus Iran, is happening at the time Mercury's opposing Mars is going to get people a little fired up in one way or another, whether it's about the game, whether it's about politics, women's rights. We won't get into all of that because we would be here way too long, but yes. It's so interesting. I'm feeling so grateful, Court says, and I've noticed I want to tell everyone how much I love them. I love that for you. That could be the case too. It's like blurting things out and being a little aggressive. It doesn't necessarily have to be in an angry way. It's just kind of being like, this is how I feel and I need to get this off my chest, right? I love that that's how that's showing up for you. Lindsay, hello. I'm so happy to see you here. Just got into argument with someone at work an hour ago. Well, it's not your fault. It's the planets. So we can move on. We can move on, not let it get to us too much. Hi, Corby. Okay, so we've talked a lot about Mercury opposing Mars. Also, protests in China. I just saw that on the news. That feels like it's par for the course with this transit too. This just feels like protests, being angry about things and speaking it out into the world. Yeah, especially with people in foreign places. I just miss and want to hug all my peeps far away. I love that. I'm glad that you're saying that because I'm like, this energy is so angry. And then you're like, but I just want to tell everybody I love them. Balance, right? Balance. So, an opposition like this is a make or break energy. Mercury opposing Mars can be that face off where it's anger, or it could also give us the courage to speak things out that we need to speak out. But again, we don't have a filter today. We really want to think things through before we say them. Writing is a great way to sort of bypass this and be like, I'm going to get it out without saying it, and then maybe think it through before I speak it into existence, right? Okay, but Mercury is also forming this sextile to Saturn. So here, this is happening exactly tonight. This feels like the second half of what we'll be feeling. You can see that sextile there. Mercury at 19 degrees, Saturn at 19 degrees. Also a great point to look at anything at 19 degrees in your chart. If anything is right around 19 or 20 degrees, especially if it's in Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, or Virgo, you're probably going to be feeling more of that impulsive energy, like this need to do something. But really most planets in your chart at 19 degrees are going to be activated in some way, shape, or form today. So just something to keep in mind. Mercury forming a sextile to Saturn is, I think, going to help us out a little bit today because this sextile is a supportive angle. It's a 60-degree angle. And even if you have the best intentions and things get a little spicy, things get a little irritable today, Mercury getting this support from Saturn helps us understand lessons, get a little more grounded, make sense of things more easily. We can be a teacher or we can be a student, but lessons are here to be learned today. And sometimes it takes a little provoking to bring the lesson up, right? So I will say this can go one of two ways. Saturn brings that realism, even that negativity, those limiting factors in. So it's really easy to fall into criticism today as Mercury forms a sextile to Saturn and opposes Mars. This feels like being a little bit overly serious, overly practical. We do want to keep it real, but it's easy to be harsh or cold in the process when Mercury forms a sextile to Saturn. So that's something to keep in mind. But on a positive note, this transit can give us a lot of mental focus. It can help us take things seriously. It can help us pull the lessons from any pain points that might pop up today. If we are looking at the world and perceiving things through the lens of a student, like, what can I learn from this situation? What can I learn from the fact that I maybe just got into an argument with my coworker? Is there something the universe, God, spirit is trying to teach me here? So this feels almost like the medicine that comes out of the opposition, right? Like, let's try not to let Saturn's influence make us too harsh or cold or realistic, but also it can help us remain realistic and keep our wits about us if we're feeling a little triggered, irritated, fiery, impulsive, restless, all the possibilities that come along with that opposition between Mercury and Mars. And again, I just want to point out, Mars and Saturn are still in this trine. So, and you can see that there. So there is this sense of leadership, authority, maturity, learning lessons, leading the way in a lot of senses that is coming up as well. So this can help us, remember, we're not the only ones experiencing the transits. You're here, you're aware of what's going on, which is amazing. It's beautiful. I love that for us. I love that we want to be aware. But not everybody who we interact with is quite as attuned to the current energy. So especially if you have small children, this opposition between Mercury and Mars with the sextile to Saturn could be like just them being a little bit irritable or angry or, having big emotions that they need to get out. And leaning into that natural authority, Mars and Saturn harmonizing, being like, okay, how can I set the example here? That's definitely a helpful approach to take. This is also Mercury opposing Mars. I love it when we have transits and these bots pop up and it's like, really, is this aggression necessarily? But thank you for demonstrating the energy of the day, right? So yeah, remember, you can be the authority, you can be the leader, you can pull the lessons and even teach the lessons today. Mercury forming a sextile to Saturn can help us teach lessons in a nice, grounded way. And maybe through an optimist's lens too with Mercury and Sagittarius. I like to think that we can pull optimism a little more easily with all this Sagittarius energy that we're feeling. And we still have Venus right there next to Mercury infusing that loving influence. So remember, you have that in your back pocket too. It's easier to reach for loving words, to perceive things through the lens of love, to take things in, to share loving words. Love and beauty are easy to come by if we just kind of lean into them a little bit and know that they're there for us. They're there supporting us. I just heard, let's go, baby. Something must be going on with the World Cup. Okay, let's talk about the moon. It's going to be a quick little talk about the moon because the moon is void in Aquarius all day. A void moon is when the moon is making its final transits through a sign without making any other connections to other planets. So a void moon is a time where we say, don't start anything new, tie up loose ends. And with the void moon in Aquarius, I really see this today as an opportunity to kind of make sense and let new perspectives sink in. The Aquarius moon, the waxing crescent moon in Aquarius, we've been talking about the past couple of days, this opportunity to open to new perspectives, see things in a new light, see things differently. And under the void moon, it's giving us this lull to really be like, how has our perspective shifted? How has how are we going to do things differently? We're coming into the first quarter moon. So this is our opportunity today until the moon moves into Pisces to really assess and plan. How do we want to take action differently than maybe we have in the past? And I personally love that we have a void moon while Mercury is opposing Mars. It feels like it's putting a damper on this energy, like nothing really horrible or significant will come from anything blurted out, any irritations that pop up today. And that's helpful for me to know when there's a void moon, because sometimes, at least I'll just speak for myself, when I'm in conflict or when communication isn't the friendliest, it's easy for me to spiral into like, oh no, what is this going to become? Is this going to be an all-out fight? How long is this going to last? You know, that's just how my brain works. But knowing that there's a void moon at the same time, I'm like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. It's going to be okay. It's all good. Nothing significant is going to come from this. Okay, so void moon working to our benefit today. I would wait to start anything though until the moon moves into Pisces. That happens around 4 Pacific time. 4:15 Pacific time, so 7:15 Eastern time, later tonight in the rest of the world, or in the eastern part of the world, I should say. And we're coming into the first quarter moon. So it's not technically the first quarter moon until tomorrow, but we're feeling it. And the first quarter moon, remember, is the time in the moon's cycle when we start to take action, when we take the intentions we set, the things we wanted to manifest under the Sagittarius new moon, and we put them into forward motion. And with the first quarter moon in Pisces, it's an interesting energy because there's this sense of trust and belief that comes with the first quarter moon in Pisces. So I really love that we had the new moon in Sagittarius, this manifestation portal, bringing in lots of faith to work with. And then the first quarter moon in Pisces amplifies that trust and that sense of knowing that there's a power beyond us that's helping move us along, right? Helping us go along our path. And we can kind of take action from that place. We can take action from a spiritual place, knowing that we're taken care of, knowing that we're really not in control at all, right? Like it's whatever's going to happen is going to happen. That's kind of the Pisces energy. And also the actions we're taking during this moon phase could be very healing too. This sense of trust and just moving forward with trust could be healing in itself because Pisces energy is very healing. It is very cathartic and releasing and healing, but we're moving forward. So whatever actions we're taking can be part of that catharsis and that healing process that we have been going through. And that's it. No connections with the moon today, which... oh God, Lindsay, do not send this person a friend request. Don't do it. I have to wonder if I mean, I've been having so many fake accounts created on Instagram of me, like my picture, my image, my name with just different spellings. And so many people are messaging me no matter how many times I come on and say, it's not me. I only have the one account. So many people are coming on and I'm like, this is also Mercury opposing Mars, just kind of like aggressive, overwhelming communication from all these bots and all my followers, even on the live stream today. Too much. No, thank you. I do not consent to all the bots, okay? And that's a tool you could use as well. Like if someone is being hostile in their communication at you, knowing, okay, they're probably feeling this energy, we can give them a little grace, but also that doesn't mean we have to accept that form of communication. Simply putting up an energetic boundary or saying like, I don't want to talk to you like this. I don't feel comfortable having this conversation right now. Boundaries are helpful today. So just putting that out there. If you need to set a boundary to protect your own peace, to protect your own mental health so you don't fire off and get into the argument, that is supported. And remember that boundaries are healthy. That doesn't mean you're shutting someone down. You can come back to the conversation when communication feels a little bit more cordial. Yes, block all the fake accounts, report them. There's nothing else we can do at this point. Some astrologers are taking their accounts private at this point, and that's not really something I want to do. So if you see a fake account, block it and report it. Okay, let's come back to today's affirmation. Pretty straightforward. I am intentional with my thoughts and words, being especially intentional with how we're saying things, even how we're taking in information, what information we're taking in as well. If you know that watching the news or reading from a certain website is going to make you angry, today might be a day to just take a pass on that. Okay, we're all a little bit more irritable today. Okay, and then we're gonna finish up with our card pull, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pull from this weird deck that was sent to me called Irreverent Inspiration, kind of raunchy. So fair warning. I just put a link to it. They sent this deck to me for free. So I like to give them a shout out because it's definitely the most unique and interesting deck that I have ever come across. And I want to pull from this deck today because it feels like the energy of the day. It feels like Mercury opposing Mars. Like, what is going to come from my mouth when I pull this card? We will find out. And if it's something that is a little more PG-13, I will give you fair warning in case there are any innocent ears around. But I was like, what deck today? And I was like, it has to be this deck. Has to be this deck. Rachel came back just in time for the weird deck. Okay. Let's all take a deep breath together. We're going to practice a deep breath. Yeah, it'll definitely bring a laugh. We're going to practice just taking a pause, taking a deep breath, what we may need to come back to at some point during the day today if our communication gets a little heated. So let's all do that together, shall we? The biggest, deepest breath you've taken all day, breathing from the bottom of your root chakra all the way up through your crown chakra. Here we go. A collective breath, sending good energy into the cards. Hopefully we don't get anything too uncomfortable, but maybe that's what we need. Here we go. Breathing in from the bottom. Holding it at the top. And release. What do we need to know? Okay. No raunchiness. What has your body done for you lately? Is the card that came through. What has your body done for you lately? Interesting, because we've been talking so much about the mind, but Mars is also very much associated with the body and taking action. So I think it's interesting that a body card came up. Okay, here's what it says. What has your body done for you lately? Like everything, stop blaming it for your problems. What if you are your body's problem? Maybe be more kind to it. Taste, touch, sound, being touched, and what is touching? Bodies make living way more fun. Why do you think you keep coming back? Have fun with your body and maybe include it. Maybe. But don't take my word for it, baby. What doesn't your body know? Ever ask it? Hashtag your body matters. Hashtag your body is your matter. Yes. Okay. Love this message coming through about the body because, like I said, we did not talk about the body at all. But I love how this card talks about, what if you are your body's problem? Our mind and our body are two different entities, and they're very much linked. So also, if you're feeling irritable, if you're feeling triggered today, maybe have a little conversation with your body. Is there something I'm not giving you? Is there something you're telling me you need? Mercury opposing Mars could be construed as the mind opposing the body in some ways, okay? Especially with like Mars in Gemini is very mentally focused. We're kind of mentally aware of what's going on with our body right now. So let's use this to our advantage and take this message, this weird message from this weird card deck that always makes me laugh. And what has your body done for you lately? Remember, your mind isn't the only part of you that controls your mood. Your mind is not the only part of your existence that controls your mood. Your second brain is in your gut, right? We create serotonin in the gut. So What is your body asking for? Maybe today's a day to just give your body what it wants and what it needs, and that could help appease some of the restlessness, impulsivity, aggression coming through in your mind too. Just a thought. All right, everybody, that is going to do it for this episode of Transits Today. So grateful for each and every one of you who showed up today, who showed up for yourself, who showed up for reflection, who showed up to support other people in the community. It means so much to me that you are here with me and part of this community we're building together. If you're new here, welcome. We're so excited to have you. Please like and subscribe to the channel so we can keep these videos coming to you for free every weekday. And if you are returning, thanks for coming back. I will be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about Venus coming into these same aspects with Mars and Saturn tomorrow. So on this same theme, but today's kind of the mental awareness of the current energy between Mars and Saturn. Tomorrow brings in a relational aspect to everything we've been talking about. Sending love to you, Rachel. So glad you could make it for the live stream. And I have to run, so I will see you all tomorrow. But until I see you next, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.